Good afternoon, everybody. It is another week. The OWCS just finished. A lot of hype. Overwatch and DreamHack Dallas was enjoyable to watch, and we're in our final 2 weeks of Season 11. So here's another week of Reddit questions. Let's begin. First question of the week is, why does my IQ drop every time I play DPS or damage role? I'm a decent tank and support player who can bring a lot to the team, and I get endorsed many times and sometimes even get play of the game, but every time I go Q for DPS, I'm suddenly the worst player in the match, with worse damage than the KarQ, and I quickly rake up 5 deaths in the first half with 0 elims. I'm aware that in some ways tanks and support have a harder job, yet they just make more sense to me than the other role. Feels like I'm playing an entire different game when I play DPS. I can't even aim right. Soldier 76, tough luck, but I can track well as Wrecking Ball and Mauga. Hanzo and Farah, good luck with those projectiles. Yet, I get kills as Sigma and land Orisa spears. I've been around since Overwatch 1. I've flexed around though ever since Roll Q came out, mostly played tanks and support. Took a long break from the game, so I'm trying to reconfigure everything. Okay, right off the bat, obviously, get the obvious question out of the way, or obvious answer is that damage is a completely different game and a different role than tank and support for the most part. There are some supports that play a lot like DPS heroes where you can play on an off angle and just focus on that, aka Illari or Iari. But all things considered, this is kind of how it is. Damage has a different set of win conditions and things you have to keep track of and things you have to do to create and generate value for your team. You said you can aim on heroes like, or you can track on heroes like Wrecking Ball and Mauga, but you can't track on Soldier 76. They are the same. That one's a little bit of an unexplained phenomena. I'm not sure. I really think you're kind of psyching yourself out because you've had a couple of bad runs on damage and now you feel like you forgot how to do everything else because you're in a new role. But here's an alternative. If you really think it's the damage roll that's psychologically psyching you out, literally play Illari and just go on an off angle and try doing that. I'm assuming your support playstyle is like just hard pocketing somebody in the back line and you're just a heal focused support, and that's okay. But I encourage you or implore you to open up a new playstyle, one that you can adapt to and switch to if the game requires you, or that is something that you can. Something that the game environment and the heroes of the enemy picks allows you to do so. If you start with that, or add a bit more Zenyatta, add a bit more Baptiste into your arsenal, and really focus a bit more on DPS, then a natural shift should help you out. You're probably also overthinking the role a little bit. Yes, you have to create damage, yes, you have to damage heroes. That's the role, but instead of like thinking you need to fully eliminate a hero, because that's what the job may entail, just shooting people whenever they're on your screen, applying pressure in some ways may force enemies to back off around corners, and doing that can already generate value for the team, even if it doesn't show that you're getting any kills. The deaths part we can avoid. You're saying you have 5 deaths in the first half with 0 elims. 0 elims is crazy because all you gotta do is just tag some people. So just, if they're on the screen, pepper them a little bit. Don't worry, don't overthink too much about the positioning. That might come a little later where you can figure out better angles to play. But if you see somebody on screen, put some bullets into them. For your tracking heroes, Soldier, and for your hit scans, try things that are not so like either all in or completely miss. So no Hanzo for you, no Widow, because those are like, if you don't hit a shot, like nothing happens. Same with Cassidy. Cassidy's very easy, I would say, but like literally tracking heroes like Soldier, even simplify it to like Reaper, things like that to kind of just pepper people down. Excuse me, not Reaper. I was thinking of Torbjorn in my head. And just poke, stand there, add some damage to your team, and you'll add some value for your team in that way. Am I the only one who thinks complaining about the tank role is getting too excessive? Before anybody starts attacking me for this, I want to say I don't think Overwatch is in a perfect state, but quite frankly, this is a subjective matter and the game was never really perfect and most likely never will be. I'm a plat tank player myself, so I might not really understand how it's like playing the role in higher elos such as Masters or Grandmasters, so excuse my average pleb opinion. However, the latest biggest problem in the game is supposedly the state of tanks. While I believe there definitely should be changes made to the role, I don't think it's as bad as everyone is constantly making it out to be. Some streamers, mostly flats, have become unwatchable for me because of the constant whining and constant complaining how the role isn't fun and it's untouchable, and everyone in the comments seems to agree that since the DPS passives, they never want to play the role again. I don't really feel like such a drastic difference that I actually wouldn't want to play tanks anymore. It's still mostly just as fun for me as it was before, but that might be because I'm not really involved in super high level play. Again, I do think there should be some changes regarding the role. I just want to see if anyone else feels like complaining is becoming a bit annoying and repetitive. First of all, Flats is one of my best friends in the space, but that's totally fair, and he'll say that as well. Like, you know, not all streamers are for everyone. There's different strokes for different folks, as some say, and that's totally fine. I will say I can understand the frustration that some tank players feel, because it does not feel good when there are many heroes that swap and, you know, and play to counter you multiple swaps. I've always said one single swap or one single counter from the enemy tank doesn't require you to swap instantly, but 2 or 3, you're going to have to if you want the condition to win. However, if you're just simply looking to have fun, I actually think tank is fun as well. Like I always say, whenever we play quick play, Flats and I together, I'm like, I'll queue tank. I find tank fun, but that's because I play it in small doses, casually, quick play mostly. I've queued it a bit in ranked, and I placed and I'm up to Masters 2 now in tank, but I mostly just play off tanks. It's probably a different opinion if you're a Reinhardt player or like a main tank player, but I play a lot of Queen, Sigma, Zarya. And I mean, I enjoy the role when I play those heroes, and some Doomfist and quick play as well. And I keep it light and casual. So you say the constant complaining, but this is just an online forum, and this is like, you know, Reddit or YouTube comments, and most of the people who have higher complaints, I would like to assume, are probably competitive players. And in competitive games, when teams are in general, and once you climb up, of course, as well, when people start, you know, swapping multiple heroes to make it hard for you to generate value, if you don't have a decent hero pool that can kind of have some hero coverage, it can be, you know, frustrating, and then the complaints may come out. For someone like me, if I play it just like I play the role here and there, I play it pretty lightly, and I have a couple of off-tank swaps, but I've definitely had those games where like I was trying to mess around with Queen, and they just had like Ana Anti, and I didn't have a KarQ on my team. They played a Roadhog that just whole hogged me away every time I went in. It wasn't very fun, so I can imagine being like a tank competitive ladder grinder, playing a main tank that gets easily countered. And that could be no fun. So, you know, you're not the only one who thinks it can be a little excessive. You can totally still enjoy the game and enjoy the role. Nothing's changed for you, and that's great. This is a subjective experience. Don't listen to too much what the online noise says. I'm a big sports fan as well, and like anytime I go to certain forums and whatever, people complain. But my life before, you know, hyper fixating on the r NBA subreddit /r/NBA subreddit or like MLB, it's just online. People just love complaining. I would say sit back and just, if you like it and you enjoy watching or playing, just ignorance is a bliss. Life will become a lot more peaceful, I swear. I'm so confused why people think you can just immediately rank up within a short amount of time. There are always posts across many Overwatch subs which ask, how do I rank out of blank? I've been stuck for a year, and it confuses me. The time frame of ranking up in my mind is a slow progress, and that it takes more experience than knowing a small fun fact to begin your rank climb. Am I misunderstanding something? Because one simply cannot believe that being in a rank for a period of time is stuck, when you should be slowly improving and going up the division slowly over time, and not a massive rank jump within a few months. Is this thought process wrong? I would say no, it's not wrong at all. If you think about it this way, not everybody can put in the hours that, you know, like a young 18-year-old gamer with no responsibilities, fresh out of high school, no job yet, no post-secondary school. If they can put in 10 hours a day, they can have more, you know, a quicker jump to success. It's all based on time. And the other point is, if you are actually staying the same rank over the course of an entire year, I would agree, you're not stuck. You're actually improving with the average player base. If you were, you know, platinum since Overwatch 1 and you're platinum in Overwatch 2, 7 years, 8 years, you're technically better than you were, because the rank itself, platinum, is relative to the current and active player base and the skill set. Your platinum Mercy in 2016 was not super jumping and doing all these cool techs, but in 2024, you bet your ass they will. Even silver Mercies know how to do some of these cool like movement stuff. And that's just one example. The other thing is time, right? Usually if you win a game, hopefully you gain, how much is the new system giving you? Anywhere between 15 to hopefully 22% for a win, and you lose some range between 15 to 22% as well. To climb up an entire rank, let's just put it at 20% for easy math. You need to be up a net 5 games times 20, that's 100%, that's 1 rank, plus 5. So if you want to go up from, you know, Platinum 1 to Diamond 1, you need to go plus 5, plus 5, plus 5, plus 5, plus 5. You need to be a net positive of 25 wins, okay? a net positive 25 wins to climb an entire division. If you want to go up 2 divisions, let's say another easier example, silver to platinum, again, same idea. You got to go up 50. In the course of a season, it's just time. Some players, I played 500 games and I went 260 wins and like 230 losses. Okay, close enough, almost 500 games. I went plus 30. Plus 30. How many people can play 500 games in a season? Not very many. I play this game full time because it's my job. Your average Joe playing 1 or 2 hours casually, a few games of comp here and there on a night, a couple of times a week, is not going to reach 500 games. You're lucky if you even reach 100 ranked games. And I did 500. I did 5x your amount. And you did 100 in the course of 2 months of the season. And maybe you were plus 10. You need to do that over, you need to go plus 25 for a whole rank up, for a whole division. That's, 6 months. It's a long time unless you really put in the hours. Another way to improve without actually actively putting in hours is if you have responsibilities, listen to posts, watch some coaching videos. Those are small consumable things you can do on your downtime to hopefully help contribute to your climb instead of just raw grinding games. But that's just, putting it into perspective, how much time is required in any sort of competitive game to climb up. This is not just an Overwatch thing. This is any game. How do competitive players build their ultimate so quickly? I've been watching the OWS major this weekend. One thing that never fails to amaze me is how quickly some of these players get their ultimate. Feels like the fight barely starts. Blink, you hear Kitsune Rush or Nana going off. Maybe I'm exaggerating a bit, but sure, supports tend to get their ultimates faster than tanks or DPS, but they seem to charge them at lightning speed sometimes. Can anyone shed light on how this happens and share tips how I can speed up my ultimate charge? There's no secret answers, but the top players in the world are the best at, seizing every opportunity they get. Anybody on their screen, if you're a DPS player, they're pounding bullets into them immediately. The only way to build ult charge is to do damage or wait, because time gives you like a passive ultimate charge, right? If you just sit there, I think you gain like 300 ultimate charge every minute. Very slow passive charge, and then actively, if you're dealing damage, that's how you gain it. And if you heal, you also gain it as well. So some DPS heroes and tank heroes like Soldier 76 heal pad or Roadhog heals can contribute to your ult charge. Supports obviously either doing damage or healing as well. So healing, damage, and time are the only ways to charge it. Every opportunity you get, you just use it. There's no secret. That's how they build it very quickly. They're just very good at doing and maximizing and optimizing what they need to do. How do I use Soldier's ultimate? I used to do pretty well with Soldier's ult, but I feel like the better I get at the game, the worse his ult gets. Back in Overwatch 1, I could take an off angle and almost guarantee a kill or 2 on squishies and be able to survive. Now, it's even hard to even get 1 kill. Everyone in my lobbies knows how to use cover. I want to hit them, I need to way overextend, and I end up dying as soon as the ult runs out. Either that, or I have to take a wild off angle, manage to get 1 or maybe 2 kills if I'm lucky, and then again, die immediately afterwards. Sometimes the enemy doesn't even take cover, and I still die. The Ashes and Widows in my lobby are good enough they can actually challenge ulting Soldier and win. It doesn't do enough DPS to kill anyone, etc, etc. What can I do to make it more useful? Should I give up on making it work in teamfights and solo ult annoying flankers instead? Okay, a couple things to unpack here. Number one, it was easier to get kills in Overwatch 1 because the average skill level was lower back then. People don't respond and react to ultimates as easy or as quickly early in the game, but as the game has evolved, players get better. They hear, I've got you in my sights. The natural instinct is to challenge back or take cover. So, knowledge gap. Old cheesy tricks don't work like they used to. Like, you can't get a 5k diva bomb unless it's like a perfect, they're not expecting it, and you get it at a good time, but like most players know how to run into cover. Same thing with Soldier ultimate. So that's number one. Number two, you say you need to way overextend and you die as soon as the ult runs out. You don't have to let the full ult run out. If you have a good angle and you were able to get 1 or 2 kills, that's amazing. And if you stay there any longer and it compromises your life, just back off. Sometimes it feels bad for players to have the bar run out and feel like they have to leave their ultimate, but that's sometimes the better option instead of waiting the entire duration and sacrificing yourself in exchange. So if you have a good angle and you pop, I got you in my sights, and they are responding to it, you can just leave. You can just run away. It's okay. It forced them to turn around. Maybe it forced them to reposition a little bit. That's technically making space. Converting kills would be better, but sometimes that is all you need. Now, number two, you said sometimes I get 1 or 2 if I'm lucky, and then die after. 2 kills is great. A 2-for-1 trade is actually not that bad. 1-for-1 depends on the situation. Like you said, you get 1 and then die. But sometimes if you get your 1 and you back off, that's fantastic. That's all you need. Leave. Don't stay long enough that you die. Okay, so the next part to unpack is it doesn't do enough DPS to kill anybody. So another tip for Soldier's ultimate is that it's not just an aimbot. If you aim your ultimate, you can still headshot with it. So some people see it auto locks on, so they kind of like aim in the dead space in between and just let the thing aim for them. But if you still actively try to hit their head, the bullet will still prioritize your shot hitting their head. If you're way off the target, then it'll reorient and shoot their body and their body shot only. So you should still try to track your ultimate as best as you can onto the enemy's head, because you can get the headshot bonus, okay? Those are a couple tips to make it more useful. And number 4, it really just sounds like you're picking bad times to use it. You don't want to give up and just use it on flankers. Sometimes that's the right play, but taking a strong off angle and using it there is generally the better play instead of using it right behind your team. But there's going to be times where you have a good shield and they're all kind of exposed, no cover, no matrix, no shields, and it's better to use it behind. But it just seems like you're just kind of picking and choosing the wrong times to use it. So probably watch a couple of Soldier streamers to learn a few tips and tricks. I recommend maybe Only Legs. He's a really good Soldier player that I know of. And go from there. What is actually going through your head every game? People always say to track enemy ults and positioning and calm with your team. Think about sight lines, your own positioning, but is this really going through your head at all times? I mean, there's only so much that you can think about at once, at least if you're thinking in words. Do a lot of good players think more in patterns than English words in their head, or am I just slow? It's also just exhausting to actively think for long periods of time. I've had people binge 10 plus hours of games with that mindset. 10 plus hours things, as someone who plays the game full time and can do marathon streams like 10 plus hours, I can assure you I'm not actually actively thinking in some of those games. I do flip on autopilot sometimes, and I'm like, okay, I'm being stupid right now, because like I'm just playing without active thinking and I'm just like using my instincts. So if I'm actually like trying, like in my scrims or in my Face It league matches with my team, I generally am tracking enemy ults. That's required for me in my role. But in general, the best way to track is to track your mirror matchup. That's how you begin. And the rest of it will become intuitive, if that makes sense. So if you're a tank player, try to get an idea of when you think the enemy team has their ultimate, the enemy tank, excuse me. You get an idea of how intuitive it is because you'll know how fast you're building it. If it looks like you're winning the matchup and you're at 80% to your ultimate as a tank, then you know their tank's probably just a little bit behind. And you know, once you play the game long enough, if you're getting rolled a few times, you know their ultimate's gonna come up. But anyways, that'll come with time. Calming with your team, sometimes I don't calm, I'll be honest, if it's late at night, so that's not really what's going on in my head. Positioning, I do think about like what ultimates they have up, and then I'll like reposition, especially before the team fight breaks out. There is a lot of things to think of. Overwatch is a complicated game. Any sort of live service shooter game, you just have to like master one aspect at a time till it becomes second nature, then you don't have to think about it anymore. So players like ML7 or myself on Ana, I'm not thinking about my aim or like how to aim my sleep dart, because like I've done it long enough, so I don't have to think about that. I actually have to think about my angle I'm taking more so than the actual 1v1 duel if they do fight me. But if for a new player, they're not familiar with their mechanics, they're kind of worried about certain people jumping them, they're just unfamiliar with that, and they have to focus all their mental resources onto something like that and not thinking about the macro game and strategy. So one thing at a time until it becomes second nature. It's like driving a manual car. The first time you drive, you're like, oh my god, shift up, shift down. You're thinking a lot because you're learning. But once you drive long enough, that's like the last thing on your mind. Your body's just doing it automatically, then you can focus on other things, or maybe daydream a little bit. You start thinking about what you should have for dinner while you drive, but you still get home safe because your brain knows how to like compartmentalize and allocate small bit of your brain to just naturally do it, but you don't have to think about it anymore. So think about it that way. That's actually what's going on through my head. And when I'm strategizing, think of it like an overhead chessboard. At least I visualize it like that. Who's positioning where are they coming from, where should I stand, and what ultimates they're going to use. That's what's going on. How do you play and get value out of Brig? I'm a high diamond player. I take pride in my ability to play most support heroes, but I can't get a grasp for how to play Brig. In a console meta full of tracers and divas, Brig seems to be a good pick. However, I feel like when I play Brig, I feel like a burden. Here are the reasons I think I'm bad at Brig. Positioning. I don't know whether to act as a second tank with my shield or stay far back in the backline with my Ana. Okay, I can stop you right here. The secondary tank thing is like a very old school Overwatch 1 style. Brig is actually pretty squishy, all things considered. If you stand in the front line, you just get punished immediately now. Unless you're cleaning up kills, then you can brawl up front. Okay, this leads me to being sandwiched between my supports and tanks, not really maximizing my shield and flail usage, and just throw my repair packs. Okay, so we broke that down. I would recommend you babysitting against flankers and dive. Brig is a situational protector role now, so like you can't force her in every game, at least in the high elo, but she probably generates enough baseline value for your average like plat and diamond game just by simply having an aura, raw aura as the kids say, or just a couple of repair packs, and that could be good enough. But generally speaking, she is a situational pick depending on the comp. Anyway, shield usage. Speaking of maximizing my ability, I can't figure out how to use this thing. The moment it's up, it's melted in milliseconds, and now I'm in an awkward situation with 2/3 of my cooldowns gone. If it's getting melted instantly, you're probably standing where you don't even need to be. Natural cover is the best shield in the game because it blocks everything, but your shield has a timer on it, 250 HP, right? Inspire, frankly, I have no knowledge how this works, what I'm supposed to do with it. It's probably my poor understanding of the character. Okay, Inspire gets triggered when you swing at something, you shield bash something, or you whip shot something. The moment you do that, an aura pops out of you, and anybody within this like 6 meter, or I don't know what the range is, a small little ring, pretty big ring actually, will get a healing a healing over time across 5 or 6 seconds. I forgot what patch we're on, so I don't know the exact number, but just gotta know anybody in there gets healed. If they walk in after, they don't get healed. It's the moment you make contact with somebody and the aura pops out, that's when they get their heal. Okay? It's different than a Lucio aura where like you can walk in and out anytime and like you only get the heal when you stay in or when you leave. But with Brig, the moment you get the Inspire on you or your teammate, they can leave and they still get the heal over time. That's how Inspire works. Okay. I'm probably not qualified to say this, but Brig feels really bad to play because I have no clue how to work her. I've seen what a good Brig player can do in mid, plat, and diamond. I'm also a diamond tracer main, and a good Brig is one of my worst nightmares. I hope to replicate the terror I've experienced. Thank you in advance. I was kind of answering this as I was reading it down, but it seems like you just have to babysit either your Ana, your Zen, or some more vulnerable support heroes. And the way to do it is your Inspire, and you survive with your shield. So if there's a tracer flanking around your Ana, try your best to land a single whip shot, and the moment you land the whip shot and you're close enough to your Ana literally has like a 60 HP heal over 5 seconds. So now Ana, instead of having 250 HP, will have over 300, so the tracer can't really one clip her anymore because you have the Inspire going. And if you throw a heal pack on her, yeah, good luck. That Ana's probably not dying to the tracer unless she lands a sticky. And if you hit the tracer or the tracer gets close to you at one point and you can get one swing or either a whip shot, you're also getting the Inspire self-healing from your passive as well. And then you can hold your shield up, and as you hold the shield up and you don't take any damage, your Inspire is healing you, and if you wait long enough, your support passive kicks in, and that's how you stay healthy as well. So I think you're just missing a lot of the finesse as Brig and getting value in that way. Really protect your backline, and if they have Winston or like Doomfist or Ball, just whip shot is your best friend. It's a very short cooldown. Whip shot whenever you can. High whip shot accuracy helps. Constantly keeps your Inspire going for your people near you. And pack the important people. I generally do not pack my tanks unless I don't have to. It's much better value on squishier heroes, and you can stack the packs. I generally wouldn't on squishies. Try to space them out a bit, but if they're very low, then yes, just throw 2 quickly at them. They should be back to full health over the course of time. I would never throw 3 in a row on a squishy, but 2 is okay if they're getting targeted and taking some damage over time. Generally 1 is enough, and go from there. What support hero should a Cassidy main look into playing? I want to add a little variety to my playtime, so I thought I should look into some support heroes. When I tried, for some example, KarQ or Moira, which are very common in all my comp and quick play games, I didn't like their gameplay. Thought I should come here look for guidance. Should I even look into support at all? Cassidy main, I would just recommend Illari. You're already used to the hit scan tempo where you shoot, and they're very just like, spaced out with that attack speed. Illari, a great compromise. You can take strong angles on Cassidy and just duel people. Same with the Illari, just throw a pylon down behind cover and just duel people. And your combat role, think of it like your outburst, and then you just create some distance between them and just play it like that. Should I switch heroes even if I'm close to my ultimate? We've all been there, sitting in spawn, wondering if we should switch heroes even though our ultimate is almost charged or even fully ready. The dilemma for me is real. Switch heroes and potentially turn the tide of the game, or stick it out hoping to unleash your ultimate without getting caught in a frustrating cycle of dying before getting to use it. What's a good rule of thumb? Sure, the easy answer is depends, but let's dig a bit deeper. The easy answer, it depends, but it's also the correct answer. It really depends on the comp they're running. Can you generate value with your ultimate? It depends on what hero you're playing. You don't even have any extra details on like if it's just you know, a Widowmaker ultimate. If it's a Widow ult and you're not hitting a single shot, then yes, you should absolutely swap. There are some cases where, you know, not swapping is correct because it's like a big AoE ultimate. A lot of tank ultimates have higher baseline value than like a Widow ultimate, for example. So maybe if you're like 90% to 1, you can stay, but if they also have like 4 counters and a way to completely negate it, then you can swap. It's hard to dig deeper. It really does depend, but like if you feel like your pick isn't working and you're getting absolutely snowballed and you tried your ultimate before, and this is like the second time around and nothing is changing, I'd say just swap. Maybe that can be one way to start. And like you said, you've all been there. If you feel like in more moments than not that like the debate on the swap seems to be the right choice, just commit to it and at least learn from that, because more likely than not, you're posting this because you probably stuck to your guns and stay on that hero, then you ended up in a bad cycle where you're stuck on the hero because you did win, but then it did not end up winning the game. I'd say just swap and then just learn from that. Okay, how to properly heal on Moira. Last question of the week. It's hard to play her, dying a lot, don't feel like I'm adding value. First, her main healing feels really bad. Doesn't feel like I can keep people up at all, and it runs down her resource super fast. How am I supposed to actually do this? Healing orb feels better, but it feels like it's much better on one person than multiple people because it gets used up too fast. Doesn't heal that much. Should I only use orb to focus on one person? The answer is generally no. Doesn't matter if it's spread out. Healing is healing for your team. Healing can feel bad, but like it's a lot of healing. It's actually faster than a lot of other supports. There's a thing called the Doppler effect where because the heal comes out like slowly in an orb like this, where it's just like in a spray, if you actually walk closer to the target that you're healing and close the distance as it's coming out, you'll actually heal more HP per second. It's proven in a workshop. I put it in a video a long time ago. That's number one. Number two, Moira's main healing it actually has a lot of lingering healing over time. So if they're kind of like half HP and you guys are behind cover, you can just tap them a little bit for like half a second. It'll heal a big initial burst and then they get a little bit of like 30 or 40 extra HP over the course of 2 seconds because it lingers at the end. And that should be enough to keep them healthy so you don't expend all your resource. Number three, to get your resource or get your healing orb or your healing juice back, sucking them with your secondary fire or even throwing a damage orb actually refills your meter now, and that can be one way to quickly refill it. The big rule of thumb is you don't have to spray there and wait and use up your entire resource and like completely heal them to full. That's how you waste everything. Especially if there's just a little bit of poke damage, light taps here and there, and making use of that lingering effect is the best way to save your juice. And if you feel like you have a good angle to throw some damage orbs and, you know, suck some enemies off, then yeah, you can use more than half your juice, make sure everyone's healthy, and then, you know, use your cooldowns, and you'll be back at full juice after your DPS rotation, and then rinse and repeat. Okay, and that seems to be it for the week. Thanks for listening to me yap, and we'll see you next week.